Hey everybody, in the kitchen with Lindsay Brooks from Runaway Spoon. Great to see you.
You too, Amy. Thank you.
You betcha. We have a wonderful classic dessert recipe that Lindsay wants to share with you today. And I love this dessert because I think it happens to all of us. We're craving something sweet. You just want a nice, warm, cozy dessert, but you just don't feel like running to the grocery store. Probably have most of the stuff to make bread pudding in your pantry right now. So why not make some?
Yeah, this is one of those things where if it's kind of rainy that day or cold or chilly, it's like, wow, I really want something warm, something hearty. Bread pudding.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably have some leftover bread that you could use up. Maybe you throw it in the freezer from last week or something. And then you've got, you know, your milk, eggs, brown sugar.
Yeah.
This one's got a little bit of bourbon in it too.
Ooh, I
just
like
to,
that.
Change it up a little bit too.
I like it. Kind of a Southern-inspired dish, and it was classically a way to use, you know, everything that was around, scraps of things that was around, and it's just pure comfort food. So,
yeah.
All right, put me to work here on the sauce. How about we start with that?
We're going to do a bourbon sauce to go on the top, which is kind of the best part, you know, the little, a little cream, a little bit of brown sugar, butter, and bourbon, of course.
Kind of takes that bread pudding to a whole nother level.
Yeah, so you're going to do these three dishes, which is heavy cream.
All right, Lamers heavy cream.
Yep. Brown sugar and butter.
Okay.
And you're just going to boil that down to like a syrupy kind of toffee consistency. Then we'll take it off the heat and add the bourbon. So we want a little bit of that alcohol flavor to come on through.
Okay, and we'll put the exact ingredients, the amount of butter, brown sugar.
Yeah, it's about a fourth of a cup of everything.
Okay,
so.
okay. All right, so you can get that on our website. So I'll just hang out and let
that
do its
boil
thing.
a little bit.
Okay.
It only takes, 3 or 4 minutes for it to get to that consistency.
Okay.
So I'm going to slice up some day-old bread I have. This is just kind of an old white loaf. If you have a cinnamon raisin loaf, that's always good too. Even if you have like a holiday challah or cinnamon raisin.
What about like a French baguette type of thing?
Yes, that
works too?
Yep.
Okay.
I kind of like the chewier crust because we have a custard that sits overnight in it, so it really breaks it down well.
Yum. So this is a make ahead, so it really should sit in the fridge for a few hours or overnight.
Yep, I say overnight in the recipe, but as long as it's 2 hours, you'll be safe.
2 hours, okay, good to know. But yeah, French bread is one of those that I always seem to have some of the leftovers, but you don't want to use that real white squishy sandwich bread.
No, it's not going to hold up to anything. You do want a little bit of substance to it.
Okay, so
and you're going to start with 3 whole eggs. And then you need a whole quart of either cream, milk, half and half, whatever you have. Typically, I've got milk in the house for sure. If I want to splurge, you can definitely substitute heavy cream for this recipe too.
So if you're having a fall or winter or just a dinner party and you really want to wow everybody, go for the half and half or the heavy
cream. Yeah, exactly.
But if you're just making this for the family at home and you don't have that much cream on hand, because that's a lot of cream.
Or if you already, don't want to feel too guilty about eating bread pudding.
Okay, all right. So eggs all beaten.
Yep.
Then 4 cups?
4 cups of whole milk.
Okay.
Or like I said, cream.
Alrighty.
And then you got 2 cups of brown sugar in here too. If you found out you didn't have brown sugar in your cup, use regular sugar. But I like kind of that richer molasses flavor that the brown sugar has.
Good sub though. 2 cups, no matter what, brown or the white. And you put the sugar in with the custard. Some people would sprinkle it over the bread, but you really like it right in there.
I like the sweet custard aspect of it. My bread puddings are a lot softer, so they're richer in flavor, and they've got like a nice custard. They're not as dry as some other ones.
And you know what? I've had bread puddings that I'm like, take it or leave it. Lindsay makes the best.
Thank you, Amy.
This is real vanilla, I take it?
It is real vanilla.
The good stuff, and quite a bit.
Yep.
Couple teaspoons?
Tablespoons worth.
Tablespoon,
yep.
okay.
I like a lot of vanilla.
And a lot of cinnamon.
Yes.
So it's a couple teaspoons of cinnamon. Good stuff, too.
Yep, 2 teaspoons. And you want to buy the good cinnamon, too. That's one of those spices that it's worth spending a little bit more money.
Makes a huge difference.
Yep.
I could just tell by smelling it that, if you're going to make this with such simple ingredients, well, for doing fall and winter baking, get some good cinnamon. All right, this is starting to boil and do its thing. Do we still want it to cook down a little bit?
Yep, you want it to just caramelize a little bit more.
Okay.
Starting to smell delightful.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. So now we got our bread all cubed. Get a big old casserole dish.
Yep, that's exactly what you want.
So this is going to make a nice 9 by 13.
Yep, a whole loaf of bread will do that for you.
Okay. Do you need to spray it?
I sometimes do. I sometimes don't. The recipe's got enough fat in it that it doesn't really need to be.
Okay.
And you want to throw these cubes into that bowl and give them a good toss.
Right into the actual bowl. Okay. And I noticed that, the cubes aren't perfect. They're not real teeny. This is real kind of rustic.
That's the thing about bread pudding.
Yeah.
It's a comfort food.
Yeah.
And comfort food is all about just, having fun in the kitchen, not worrying about, measuring up your cube sizes and making sure you're right.
It's that rustic whole thing is still completely on trend. And,
it really is.
Perfectly pretty desserts aren't quite as on trend as the ones that really look homemade, even from some of the top chefs.
I agree. You know what? People just want good food.
Yeah.
We've gotten away
Yeah.
from that. Things are processed these days, so now everyone just really wants something made from scratch.
Yes, I agree, and that doesn't have to be super fussy. So this is boiling now. What do you think?
Perfect.
Turn it off the heat?
Yep, so then you're going to turn it off.
Okay.
Let it cool just for a minute before you add the alcohol, otherwise it'll splatter at you a little bit.
Okay,
So.
well, I'm standing back because we're running out of time
Okay,
here,
go ahead,
so-
throw it on.
All right,
Perfect.
and this is bourbon.
Yep, just bourbon, and that's
Okay.
kind of to thin the sauce out.
Okay.
We also took bourbon and we soaked our raisins overnight in the bourbon. Kind
yum.
of just adding another layer, another dimension.
I'm not a huge raisins fan. I would probably leave them out. Did I want to put this in here or in the sauce?
I normally put it on top, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, but cranberries, dried cranberries or cherries would probably work great, or leave it out
Absolutely.
altogether.
Or yeah, you could omit it all together, just put a little bit of bourbon into your actual cream here, and then you'd be fine too. But I like little raisins on top.
Into the oven this goes for about, it sits in the fridge for at least a couple hours.
Yeah, at least a couple hours.
Okay.
Then put it at 350 and give it about 40 minutes.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit longer depending on if it's really straight from the refrigerator and really cold, chilled overnight or not.
Good point, because everything needs, bakes a little longer, and you want that custard set.
Yeah, you just want it to set up. You don't want to overcook it. This is definitely something that will carry over. So when you pull it out, it have a little bit of jiggle to it.
Smells so good. And this is one of those, leftovers warmed are fine, but you want this warm out of the oven.
This is one of those things where you're, when you get up in the morning, you're like, I'm going to have that for dinner tonight.
Absolutely. And spoon it into bowls, serve it with some of the sauce, kind of drizzled, maybe some vanilla ice cream or whipped cream.
Yeah, or whipped cream if you have it in the
my
house.
Golly, talk about Southern comfort food. Yummy,
And the whole
yummy.
house will smell
Yum.
amazing.
And pretty cheap to make, too. Thank you so much for sharing the recipe,
You're
Lindsay.
welcome.
If you want Lindsay to bake or cook for you, you can get a hold of her at Runaway Spoon. She's got a fabulous business. She'll make a wonderful dessert or cater dinner for two or 62 or 102 or more.
Yeah, exactly.
How can people find you?
Runspoon.com is the best way to find all of our information.
All right. Thanks, Lindsay. We'll be back. Stay with us.